Although our official name is Lucy's Retired Surfers Bar and Restaurant, there ain't nothing tired about retired. Meet Me at Lucy's has been our slogan and battle cry for nearly 3 decades in the Crescent City. Located in the heart of the Warehouse District, whether it's for happy hour after work, before and after Saints and Pelicans games, or just for a bite to eat at all hours, Lucy's is where the locals meet up, hang out, and unwind. And while you're there, try one of our signature surfing cocktails, like the Shark Attack or Blue Whale. And for the truly courageous, our famous Scorpion Tequila Shot. Remember, Meet Me at Lucy's is our slogan, and don't forget to bring your favorite pooch, because our lifeguard chair is always open. Crescent City Steakhouse, a true neighborhood restaurant operated by the Vojkovic family since 1934, is the oldest steakhouse in the city of New Orleans. Serving only hand-cut, prime-aged, corn-fed beef for over 80 years, Crescent City Steakhouse has become a dining destination for both die-hard locals and adventurous travelers who seek traditional, timeless New Orleans cuisine. Crescent City Steakhouse, 1001 North Broad, on the corner of St. Philip, in the heart of New Orleans. So here's the bottom line. Well, it's funny that you say that. Let me tell you. Good evening, and welcome to the 75th edition of Primetime Sports. We're still having fun and still going strong, and we have another great show for you today, which I cannot wait to get to. But first things first, it's August 1st, so in South Louisiana, you know what that means? It's hot. It's really, really hot. And the kids are getting ready to go back to school. Scott's got his summer wear on, but most importantly, the local teams are starting practice. That's right, they all are pretty much on the field now. The New Orleans Saints, they started their training camp, and after 3 years in West Virginia, well, they're back home in beautiful, hot, muggy, humid Metairie, Louisiana. And there's several position battles to be won over there at Saints training camp on Airline Drive, particularly on the defense, where the Saints have finished at the bottom of the league in 4 of the last 5 seasons. Well, that cornerback position opposite Delvin Breaux is going to be big. You see the rookie right there, Marshawn Lattimore. He's going to get every opportunity to get it, but don't rule out P.J. Williams and others. Defensive end position opposite Cam Jordan. Oh, that you see, they brought in Alex Okafor in from Arizona. He's going to have a battle with Hauli Kikaha and a couple other youngsters as well. And the entire linebacking core is up for grabs. They got a bunch of good ones. And one of the guys, A.J. Klein, that we saw in the previous picture, he is one guy that they're looking to have big things from this season. He was Luke Kuechly's backup, of course, in Carolina. Hey, the offense, well, that's never a problem, which they're always at the top of the league. Yeah, but they've got one big position battle they're dealing with, and that's to replace the great offensive tackle, Teron Armstead. But this job right here, that's rookie first rounder Ryan Ramczak's job to lose, in my opinion. I think that they're going to try a few things there. Obviously, Andrus Peat was drafted as a tackle, but they like him at guard. Look for Ramczak if he continues to progress to possibly win that job. Hey, LSU, well, they had their first practice yesterday. I'd call it more of a walkthrough. And there are plenty of jobs open in Baton Rouge, but one that is certainly not is at the running back position, where Darius Geis last season had a monster year. His numbers dwarf the great Leonard Fournette, who was injured for a few games, but Darius Geis sets all kind of records, including most yards in an LSU game in team history. He should have another monster campaign, like I said. Hey, how about this? Ogeron, the Coach O, as we like to call him, he's indicated there's a quarterback battle. But this is Danny Etling's job to lose. Make no mistake about that. You see Miles Brennan and others, but there's Danny Etling. He is the senior. He did play pretty well last season when he was in, and he's steady, getting a lot of reps in the fall practice. Hey, by the way, Tulane also started practice. We had Coach Willie Fritz on last week. We talked a lot about them. We're not going to talk as much about them today, but them, UL Lafayette, they like to call themselves UL. The Raging Cajuns, of course, Southeastern. McNeese, who's been a powerhouse. Nicholls State, I can't leave them out. And, of course, our good friends up north, Louisiana Tech. The Bulldogs with Skip Holtz have been doing some good things. And, UL Monroe, they're up there in Monroe. And, of course, the other school is where our first guest, that's his alma mater. That's Bobby Hebert, of course, and that is Northwestern Louisiana. They all start practice. In other news, though, I'm not just talking football right this moment, but I don't talk much UFC. And if you saw this weekend, the great John Jones, he regained his UFC light heavyweight title. This is the third time he's won it, a la Muhammad Ali in the heavyweight division in the 70s. I'm taking you way back. But he knocked out the champion and Lafayette native Daniel Cormier, who, by the way, I don't watch a lot of UFC, but Daniel Cormier seems to be a good guy. He did not have his stuff on Saturday night. John Jones is once again champion. We got a great show for you. I've kind of hinted about it. We got the king of the Who Dat Nation. That's right. Bobby Hebert, the Cajun Cannon, who, by the way, has the best winning percentage in Saints history as a quarterback. That's right. Better than St. Drew, believe it or not. And he's going to be on the show. He's, of course, with WWL now. T-Bob Hebert, his son, who started many, many games on the offensive line for the LSU Tigers, kind of in the mid to late to 2010-ish time. Well, he is now with ESPN Radio, and he is very vocal about a number of things. We're going to have fun talking LSU Saints and Pelicans a little bit with him. And then we have one of my favorites, last year's special teams captain, who was recently re-signed, Michael Mauti, will join us as well. Looking forward to this. This is going to be a great show. Stay tuned. It's Primetime Sports, and it's coming up next.
A song without soul is like a soul without a song. You might be living, but you're living all wrong. You think you've arrived, but you ain't there yet. You think you're all right, but you better not bet, better not bet, better not bet.
Oh, I always love when Paul Sanchez drops by the studio and gives us a tune. By the way, he is one of the founding fathers of Cowboy Mouth before he went out on his own and did some more great things. And speaking of founding fathers, that's right, I've got the one and only, the founding father, and some say king, of the Who Dat Nation. And oh, by the way, I'm not going to stop that intro. He's also the USFL's all-time leading passer. He was a champion in that league before coming to the New Orleans Saints. And get this, he is the best winning percentage quarterback in Saints history. That's right, I have Drew Brees. It's Bobby Hebert.
How you doing, Scott?
What's up? And you are the biggest, best winning percentage in Saints history. I don't even think it's that close, quite frankly.
Well, I have 49 wins to my credit. And it took Drew Brees, this is my claim to fame, it took Drew Brees 4 more games to get to 49 wins.
But the percentage is still much more in your favor.
Well, I'm sure if Drew Brees played with the Dome Patrol, I mean,
the Dome Patrol doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt that supporting cast.
I'm not going to say this, but Pat Swilling might have said that he helped your career. I don't know.
Oh, no, he did, without a doubt. Hey, all of them. Vaughn Johnson, Pat Swilling, Ricky Jackson, Sam Mills. Yeah.
And ironically, Vaughn Johnson was supposed to be here today. He's coming back in September. He gets honored with the Sugar Bowl Hall of Fame, which you're in every Sugar Bowl. You're in every Hall of Fame, I should say. Louisiana, obviously Saints, Northwestern, I'm sure.
Bayou Hall of Fame.
The Bayou Hall of Fame. Bobby is a Hall of Famer, period. By the way, I always love having you. You were on my third episode, and this is our 75th episode.
Well, congratulations. I watch it. And if you miss it, you can always, how it's reprogrammed, you can always catch it.
A lot of replays.
Yes,
a lot
exactly.
Of replays.
So I enjoy watching it. Very informative.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Bobby.
Yeah.
A plug from the founding father of the Who Dat Nation. Speaking of the Who Dat Nation, I think they want to hear about this version of the team. There is no Dome Patrol anymore.
Right.
They do have a much better offense statistically, although I love the guys you had, Dalton Hilliard, and of course, Hobie Brenner, and
Aaron
Martin. But this defense, the first thing we got to go, can it be fixed?
It could be, okay, there's nowhere to go but up.
Right?
I mean, so to say that it's going to be fixed, I think it will be better, but how much better? Is it like ranked 20-something? Can you
20th would be good.
Yes, yeah.
I'll take 20th.
Not
29th
even,
I don't want.
So not even 15 or 16, just 20th. If Dolphins could keep pace, then all of a sudden you have a chance for a winning season. Why I was a little discouraged going into training camp, it's only because the Saints were snake bit. You look at OTs and minicamp with the injuries.
Right.
You look at any team, maybe not the Patriots, but any other team, if you lose 3 of the top 10 players to start the season. You look at strength of schedule.
It's harsh.
I mean, you look at Max Under,
Right.
Teron Armstead, Nick Fairley, and then Donnell Ellerbe. He's hell when he's well.
Yes, he's hell when he's well. But
you know, he's like participated in 15 games, started 12. He was a top 15 player on the Saints roster.
when your body's cracked, you're whack. So he
So it's very frustrating. So I don't know. I'm hoping they can go 2-2 to start the season. Then I'm still going to be optimistic.
Tough start, isn't it? It's a tough start.
Listen, on the road, think of this environment. Monday Night Football in Minnesota.
They're rowdy up there.
Now, whoever's playing left tackle, we think is going to be Ryan Ramczyk.
My goodness.
Okay, now think about this. He's at left tackle. He has to look at the ball because it's so loud.
It's so
he can't,
loud.
Daniil Hunter, whoever's coming off that edge, he can't look at him.
Yes.
He has to look at the ball, then get back around.
That's a good point, Bobby.
There's
Ramczyk right there.
So when you
He went to welding school, though. He's tough. He can handle it.
But you think, like, he might say, like, I don't care what he did at Wisconsin. It's a different animal. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
This is the NFL. That's when you see the competition.
And by the way,
go
he
up.
has a Belichick defense to deal with in week 2.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, it's not easy starting the season. And we all know when the Saints start the season slow, they sometimes burrow back to get at 500, and then they expend so much energy that they end up having a 7-9 season.
You can't dig yourself a hole. And this is the track record. And I look at the analytics of this, that if you get off to a slow start on the Drew Brees and Sean Payton, they kind of have a 500 team. And you can't dig yourself too big a hole. They can't be 1-3.
What would be a successful season for Bobby Hebert, the WWL broadcast?
Well, playoffs or bust. Come on.
Playoffs or bust. So 9-7 is not successful after 3, 9, 7.
Okay. You see, it all depends the circumstance.
Right.
How did you get to 9-7?
True.
And is 9-7 good enough to go to the playoffs? And it could be. You never know. You look at the NFC South. Like, I think the Falcons going to the playoffs. I'm not saying
you don't know about the Super Bowl hangover?
But wait, they're not going to win anything.
My biggest claim to fame was when Carolina was 15-1. I said they're going 8-8 at best.
Yeah, but Matt Ryan
even get there.
Matt Ryan's more stable than Cam Newton.
Good
Cam
point.
Newton's too up and down. Now,
But he played for the Falcons. I get it.
I'm thinking the Falcons could. No, I'm thinking the Falcons could be like the Seahawks. Get there, so close but so far, and don't win anything.
Right.
You know, I mean, they might be a wild card. I think they'll be the.
They're a
NFC
very
South
good football
wild card.
team.
Yeah.
We got to take our head out of the sand. They're very good.
If the Saints get to 10 wins, and
that has to be considered successful.
Yeah, whether you make the playoffs or not, you don't know what's going to unfold. So.
And the other thing is this, you know, when they haven't been to the Greenbrier or they haven't had Bounty Gate, they're playoffs every year.
Yeah.
Since 2009. I'm joking, but it's true. It's a true story.
Okay, this is my theory on the Greenbrier. What if the Houston Texans, who are practicing at the Greenbrier, so what if they kick ass?
Right.
What if they win?
Right.
So you don't think maybe it's the players?
Yeah. It might be the players.
Yeah.
Might
So
be
all
the
of a
players.
sudden, if the Texans have success at the Greenbrier, look, we went to La Crosse, Wisconsin. I didn't go the whole time because I wasn't there the whole time, but 9 seasons. Think about that. 9 training camps La Crosse, Wisconsin. Why did you go back to La Crosse? All of a sudden, because when you're winning 10, 11, 12 games.
You go back, baby.
Yeah, you go back.
You go back.
So, I mean, that's why you got to mix it up. But, no, I look at listen, you play in the air condition in the Superdome. Now, I will agree with this. Kenny Vaccaro said that when you're in these conditions, all of a sudden it's like, because the lightning of the heat index is 110, when they go in the inside practice facility, you got a little more pep in your step. Man, you feel good.
Yes.
So Kenny Vaccaro's saying, when I get into the Superdome, I'm ready to roll. Because like I've been through like hellacious type practice because of the heat index and the heat you're dealing with.
What position battle are you most focused on, and what worries you the most about this team going into the season, at least at this point?
Well, position battle. Who can you trust at cornerback?
It's a big one.
And I can tell you right now. Listen, one of our best cover guys is not even a pure corner. Kenny Vaccaro's going to get paid. Talk about that hybrid player in the box on the slot.
I'm so impressed with everything about him right now, and I haven't always said that with him in a Saints uniform, but his locker room presence and demeanor, he's become, I'm not going to say the unquestioned leader because they have Cam Jordan, but those two have grown up, in my opinion, and they've become statesmen of the locker room, which I couldn't have always said about either one.
Well, I look at, when you see talent, how many teams want the players you have? So when I look on defense, every team wants Cam Jordan. You know why? Because first, second, third down. He might not be the ideal, unbelievable stats guy with the sacks. But we're playing against the run once.
Yes.
The same thing with Kenny Vaccaro. If the Saints don't pay Kenny Vaccaro, if he has the kind of season like this year, like he did last year, the 4-game suspension, that blew it all up. He's going to get paid. Whether the Saints pay him or somebody else pay him, and I don't think the Saints are going to let him out of the building.
Well, if Jim Finks was around, he might not get paid.
Oh, yeah. Now, that is a true statement. The only two guys,
I don't want to get started.
The only two guys that Jim Finks paid was Ronaldo Turnbull.
Right.
And Jim Dombrowski. Because you know why? He drafted them high, and those were his guys.
Those are his guys. And the funny thing is, Swilling said the same thing because I've heard it from so many. Morton was on the show. He said it, but not to get off on this tangent.
Yeah.
But Swilling was like, when I brought his name up, and I'm like, Bobby doesn't like me. He goes, I don't like him.
Well, he was almost like, who just got fired with Carolina?
The guy in Carolina.
Gettleman.
Yeah.
Didn't a lot of players say, man,
right
that was the best thing ever happened to Carolina to get rid of that guy. He was too old school, like Hugh Coverhouse, Art Modell. Hey, you just should be glad you're in the NFL.
Right.
I'm not market value. What's that?
Yeah,
no, we own you. We're going to pay you what we want.
What position excites you the most? Obviously, let's just exclude Drew Brees out of this conversation.
Well, I'd have to say running back by committee. Because you look at that committee.
Tell me about it.
And then individual player, he got my game ball so far, Brandon Coleman. Brandon Coleman.
How great has he looked?
Brandon Coleman is playing like a stud and looks like a stud.
Yeah.
Come on, Scott. You stand by him?
I know.
You stand by him?
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, how can this son of a gun not be good? 6'6".
He's putting on that muscle you see in the pictures.
230 pounds, not 220. And he said, you know what, that 10 pounds? And Von Bell said, man, he's even faster.
Yeah.
So you know what it is? It's the explosion.
Yeah.
That nobody can check him at the line. He can run through him. Now, if he can catch the ball consistently and catch it down the middle on the sideline at the high point, use your 6'6" height and don't play like you're 5'11".
How does he fit in though with obviously the go-to guys?
Oh, that's a good problem.
Thomas,
come on, Scott.
Willie Snead, and then Ted Ginn. No, my point is, does he take Ted Ginn's reps?
He might.
Because Ted Ginn was there to spread the field, though.
Well, listen, you can never have too many weapons.
All right, let's go back to the other weapons you talked about in the beginning. The running back by committee, why does this excite you?
Well, I think Adrian Peterson still has something left in the tank.
Yes,
I think
does.
Mark Ingram is going to build upon what he did last year. He was 4th in the NFL, 5.1 yards average per carry.
And doesn't it help him to have an Adrian Peterson also in the backfield?
Oh, without a doubt.
Gives him a little more incentive.
It's like a pro with a pro. They motivate each other. They push each other. Then you throw in Alvin Kamara.
The young buck.
What I've been impressed with him is that he's smart.
Kamara,
he can understand the concepts and he knows what he's doing. So then who's my dark horse?
Wait, before you get off that, is he off of Darren? Is he going to be Darren Sproles like? Or are we just
like he's going to be like there's only one Darren Sproles, and Darren Sproles is the man.
But
Darren Sproles goes down in NFL history as maybe the best ever. I think.
Best ever pinball machine.
When I look at Reggie Bush, as great as Reggie Bush, or as good as an NFL career,
is untackable.
Yeah. It's like a different level.
Sure that's a word,
and so Alvin Kamara. So could you be maybe a little better than Reggie Bush and be leaning towards Darren Sproles? But I still don't see him surpassing Darren Sproles. But what he's going to do in the passing game and how they're going to utilize him, then also he can run between the tackles. He runs like a running back. He's not like a receiver trying to play running back. Now, and then you know what I look at also, I'm telling you, and Deuce McAllister, we do the radio together, and he's a big Travaris Cadet fan.
Yeah.
I said, if Kamara could pick it up one, I think they always feel like they can bring back Cadet because he's that satellite back. But Daniel Lasco, when you look at the special teams.
Is that your sleeper?
Yeah, no, he can't be my sleeper because he's already been on the team.
Yeah, but he's he's still a guy that I think is going to make waves in a number of ways.
Well, he's a guy at Cal and that I followed because my second daughter went to school there, so I kind of look at their players. He was their leading special teams tackler.
Oh, by the way,
and he had 7 tackles.
The year before Goff was the first pick of the draft, he was the MVP of that team. Okay, enough said.
Right.
You were the MVP over the first pick of the draft the year before. You got skills.
Well, you know who's kind of my dark horse right now? I can't even remember his name. He's either, I don't know, 91 or 92. From Ferris State, not Jake Lyman. We have 2 Ferris State players.
Who would have thought?
Is it Zimmer or but you can look. But anyway, well, I'm telling you, he has probably 5 or 6 sacks. Now, you got to see who he's beating.
Right.
But I'm like, Deuce and I was talking.
Speaking of sacks, though, I got to get you on this. Okafor or Kiyakaha or one of the younger guys like Hendrickson.
It's going to be by committee.
Is it a good committee, though?
No, it's a good committee on production. Now, if they could come up with between 3 guys, let's say you get 10 sacks.
Yeah, 10 sacks.
You get 11
give me
sacks.
10.
Yeah,
give me 12. You got it.
And now, Okafor's in a 1-year deal like Fairley, but I don't think he will excel as much as Nick Fairley.
Fairley was great, and I was in his corner all the way, but it wasn't like all 16 games he was great.
Right.
Let me be honest with you, and I think Okafor is going to surprise a few people. I think this guy.
I
love him at Texas.
He's had a season with the Cardinals. He's had 8 sacks. Then he got injured.
He's a good football player, man.
He's had a season with 8 sacks, but I'm impressed. I'm interested in seeing preseason with Muhammad and Hendrickson. The draft picks, what they do as far as rushing the passer, because they've looked somewhat impressive.
Right.
But you know what's encouraging?
What's that?
Ramchick has also stoned Okafor now and then. Well, that's a good thing for the offensive line. So.
But there's 26 linebackers, right?
Right.
So, off the top of your head, I know they go with 4-2-5 a lot, but if you had 3 that you say would start right now.
Well, the leader of the pack, it ain't even close, A.J. Klein. A.J. Klein's a tackling machine. He's like Luke Kuechly's little brother.
Yeah.
Now, Luke Kuechly's the best of the best.
Right.
But no, he's a flat-out stud. Now, the young guy's Azalon.
Florida.
He can run,
yes,
and he's
can.
smart. He can break down whether it's play action or it's run or pass, how he can convert that. He's held the reason why we didn't hear more about him because he was hurt at Florida. Now,
he
was
a
good
football player, and a lot of people were dogging the pick because they were waiting for Duke Riley, who got taken right before the LSU star. And they're like, oh, my God, we got this guy who's been hurt.
And I'm still a Robertson fan.
Oh, why not? How could you not be, brother?
All right, Scott.
Dude, on this man's day off, he chose to come. And
because it was Scott, that's why I came.
Oh, my God, say it louder. Say it louder.
No,
Preach
because it was Scott, I came. We go way back.
We do, to the Atlanta days. And hey, I'm a New Orleans native.
Hey, I'm going to buy you, and you'll come on. We get South Louisiana
South
again.
Louisiana. You get you some good food
right
there.
Thank you.
We might even hook you up with something else. I don't know. We'll try it. I love you, Bobby. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right,
and by the way, at camp, this is the guy I'm sitting talking to every time I'm there. Hey, by the way, speaking of guys I love, it's going to be Michael Mauti coming up next right here, Primetime Sports. But don't forget, T-Bob Hebert will be at the end of the show, and that's going to be fantastic as well on Primetime Sports.
Rock and roll will never die. It's old New Orleans, my, oh my. Come on, baby, let's go rock and roll at the city lane. All night, let's roll, let's rock and roll. Baby, do the rock and roll. At Mid-City Lane's the home of rock and roll.
The owners of the Delachaise Wine Bar on St. Charles Avenue have opened up their newest creation uptown on Maple Street called Chez Delachaise, a new local wine bistro featuring a larger menu of small and large plates, a brighter atmosphere, and full table service. Additionally, patrons can enjoy a large patio out front as well as an extensive wine list offering selections from around the world. It's Chez Delachaise, 7708 Maple Street between Carrollton and Broadway.
Although our official name is Lucy's Retired Surfers Bar and Restaurant, there ain't nothing tired about retired. Meet Me at Lucy's has been our slogan and battle cry for nearly 3 decades in the Crescent City. Located in the heart of the Warehouse District, whether it's for happy hour after work, before and after Saints and Pelicans games, or just for a bite to eat at all hours, Lucy's is where the locals meet up, hang out, and unwind. And while you're there, try one of our signature surfing cocktails, like the Shark Attack or Blue Whale. And for the truly courageous, our famous Scorpion Tequila Shot. Remember, Meet Me at Lucy's is our slogan, and don't forget to bring your favorite pooch, because our lifeguard chair is always open.
Whew! Once you get through with Bobby Hebert, you got to catch your breath, but I can't wait for my next interview. Don't forget, Bobby's son, T-Bob, is going to be coming up next. We're going to get more into LSU and what they're doing. But right now, I have the special teams captain from last season for the New Orleans Saints. He is a native of New Orleans area. He went to Mandeville High School. He's a Mandeville skipper. Went up to Penn State, where his father, Rich Mauti, was a star up there. His brother also played in the 90s for Penn State. Well, his name is Michael Mauti, and he has been through a bunch in the past year. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me,
Welcome back, actually. You and your dad were on my 4th episode,
yes,
and now we're up to 75. So here we are.
75. Well, congrats on 75.
75.
That's awesome.
By the way, let's start a few things because you played at Penn State. You've been through 3 ACL injuries. I mean, that's just unbelievable to have one, So you know what Haweli Kakaha is obviously going through.
Absolutely.
You also went through the whole Jerry Sandusky, Joe Paterno situation, which was a spotlight that no one ever wants on them. and now this past season you had, which you've had since college, but you've had to deal with obviously ulcerative colitis. So
yep, it's a mouthful.
Yeah, really. But out of all that, I mean, what have you learned going through this? Because I mean, most people might have a couple things in their life, maybe one bad knee injury, maybe somebody dying, but you've been dealing with a lot for a guy that's only 27 years old.
Yeah, in that regard, you're right. When you say it all like that,
I mean, it's a lot. And you just got married last year, by the way.
It's hard to digest for sure, all in one mouthful for sure. But I think, I've taken one thing at a time, just taking everything in stride, and I love to play football and just to have the opportunity to be back, and I just work to put myself in a position to get back on the field when things happen. Just overcoming adversity. Really, it's all about your mindset and just going to work and getting back to where. I mean, one of the more frustrating parts is that I've always known that I could play football, and it's what I do, it's what I'm good at. But you just have these certain things in life that come up, and you just have to just work through, and that's the same thing with any adversity. The rest of my life, it'll be the same thing.
I know I don't want to dwell on this part, but I remember the year on last year, about a year and a half ago, really, with your dad, and we were talking about that one great play with the Saints because it's become kind of a signature play in your career. Sure. Obviously, the parallels with Gleason, of course, we're talking about that great block punt. It was a night game. The Falcons were undefeated. You had a lot of good things going. But talk about what that one play kind of cemented your place in kind of a Saints history. It wasn't like a great year for the Saints, but it was such a huge moment.
Absolutely. Well, I didn't realize it was such a huge moment till I got in the locker room. I saw my phone and
you see Gleason right there.
Yeah,
right.
for sure. And then I realized, well, that was a Thursday night. There's only one game on every a week. It wasn't like maybe if that was a Sunday game, it probably wouldn't have gotten the same exposure.
Right.
But man, it was such an unbelievable moment, and to be a part of it, and really just to have been there when Steve blocked the punt, and just to kind of have it come full circle, just to have that opportunity is really, you got to believe in something's working for you upstairs,
The Steve block punt, let me just say this, because I got chills just again thinking about it, because I flew back just for that game. And when that happened, there's only one other moment that I remember in Saints history that gave me that complete body chill, and that's when Tracy Porter intercepted, and you realize the Saints were actually going to win their first Super Bowl. Yeah. But it just merited so perfectly, because, I mean, obviously the Saints won the game. It didn't end up in a Super Bowl, or at least that year was an NFC Championship season, but it was just a magnificent play. And immediately, I'm not going to say I was the first, but I think I was the first that said, "That's Gleason! That's Gleason!" He blocked it, and he recovered it for the touchdown. Obviously, Gleason was the one that blocked it. He didn't recover like you, but you did the double dipper.
I had the trifecta: the block, the scoop, score.
Block, scoop, score.
That's the holy trinity right there.
All right. By the way, you were special teams captain. You were named that last season. You didn't make it through the season because you had to have surgery. But what did that mean to you when you got named that by the coaching staff?
Well, the most important thing is it wasn't by the coaching staff; it was by the players.
The players,
which is more meaningful. I mean, I think when you're voting on a captain, it's a guy that you trust in, that you know is going to be accountable to everybody, and is going to be looking out for your best interests. And it's really, to me, the ultimate sign of respect that you get that from your teammates. So that was one of the more meaningful things in my career for sure.
Let's talk a little bit about your comeback. People might not know this. Michael Mauti was a first-team All-American in college his senior year. I believe that was senior year, but one of those years. Yep. Obviously, all Big Ten. But that's also at the end of your Penn State time that you realized you had ulcerative colitis. I think I got it right that time.
Right.
Tell me this. I mean, how did that affect you going forward? Because you've been dealing with this, and the public really just kind of got wind of it less than a year ago. Yeah. But what's it been like through your NFL career, 2 with the Vikings and now 2 with the Saints?
Yeah, it's been on and off. I mean, it's been something that I've had to learn more about. I've done the 3 in the morning Google and researching medical journals and things like that. And I started in 2012, and then you don't realize the things that are affecting your body that you're putting into when you talk about the amount of anti-inflammatories that you're taking. It seemed like it was year to year it kind of just progressively just got worse, and because I didn't, I was doing things that I didn't know were probably exacerbating my condition, and
Well, I mean, things that you eat, I mean, things that you do. I mean, I'm just curious because the people out there, you're kind of a spokesman now for it.
For sure, and I think the main thing was the diet, the stress management. It's a good thing that the NFL is not really a stressful job, right? So
yeah, not at all.
Especially
for guys that are always on the cusp.
And it seemed like, and I was kind of a bubble guy in Minnesota, so it seemed like every training camp, it would start having these flare-ups and things, and I remember one training camp I was feeling great, and I was, 3-4 days I'm taking Advil, and not even realize it. Next thing you know, I'm sitting here, flared up, full swing, and I'm just asking questions why and trying to evaluate and document everything I'm putting in my body, and it just became this overwhelming project. I just didn't have enough time to really dive into research, and really it came down to just finding good doctors and that would take care of me, that knew what they were talking about.
Well, because I know my three guests today pretty darn well, especially the other two guys, Bobby and T-Bob Hebert, and I've had you on Sunday, I really dug last night and the last night into ulcerative colitis and Crohn's and everything and how that affects the body. What I love that you did, though, you kind of had some fun, and we have the picture of you with the Charmin. I think this is fantastic.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's an inflammatory bowel disease. I don't want to get too personal here, but the bottom line is, you said it was just a ploy for you to get a Charmin commercial.
Yeah.
and they sent you some.
If you don't have a sense of humor about this, then you're going to have a long road. It's because it really is. It tries you mentally. There's a lot of people out there struggling with it silently. That just because it really is. You don't have any peace of mind. You're constantly just all day long. That's all you're thinking about is where you walk into any room. You're thinking, where's the bathroom? When any building, it's like, okay, I better figure out where to.
You get and first thing, right?
It consumes you. It really does. And when it gets to that point, and like I said, if you don't have a sense of humor, it's going to eat you alive. It really will. So the mental battle was really more challenging than the physical in some aspects.
No wonder you were so jumpy the last time you were on the show. I got it now. Hey, you were saying before the show you were down to 200 pounds. Now, maybe in high school, 200 pounds for a linebacker is okay, but in the NFL, 225 is still light. I think it goes up to like 245. Some are even playing at 250. Mm-hmm. But ideal weight for a linebacker has got to be 230-ish or 235. And so what was that like towards the end before you ended up having your surgery, November, playing at that weight?
Well, I knew that, look, I was weighing in with, I was hiding some stuff in water bottles and things like that.
Funny.
I was, wearing hoodies and stuff, but, look, it just, probably for about a month there, we played 4 games where I just could feel myself tanking and you get on the scale and, I didn't even want to see it anymore. We got to San Francisco and, when I could barely get through, I get off the field after a kickoff and I'm sucking wind. My endurance I wasn't getting any nutrition and I did totally change my game. I couldn't really, fit up guys like I knew I could. And so I was more of a kind of
what was your final straw? What did you say? How did it come about?
Look, I had previous to the San Francisco week, had talked to Coach Payton, basically telling him what was going on and just wanted to communicate that with him and, wanted to just say, hey, listen, I need to take a couple weeks off. I'm not healthy right now.
Did he know about the condition before? I mean, is this something you...
I'm sure it was documented on the team records, but
it's not something you're advertising like. Right?
No, and it's not something I really talked about either. And
right.
And I know some of my closer teammates, they knew I was struggling with it, and obviously I'm leaving meetings and stuff all the time, and when I couldn't. I knew it was time when I couldn't sit through meetings and I couldn't go sit through practice and I couldn't sit through the bus ride and I couldn't I was on the way to the stadium and I couldn't go through a game. It's like, what am I doing here? And so it just became football was a secondary and I just needed to take care of myself.
I'm not saying it's common, but it's potentially a fatal disease. I mean, it can happen. But so when you took control of it, you had 3 different surgeries starting in November, I believe, ending in April. Mm-hmm. You had to have some doubt whether your football career was going to proceed. And now you went through this incredible workout regimen. And tell me when you started, and tell me it was like, we have some pictures of it here. And then when did you realize, hey, I might be able to get back this season?
Yeah, well,
look at this one. That's my favorite picture. I mean, that's getting up there, dude.
So I had a bag.
Look at that.
I had an ostomy bag while I was doing that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, which is mentally having a bag, having to go through that whole process, and it's not something I like to talk about.
No, I hear you.
But it really was the most trying time. Every day waking up and just kind of, okay, let's just let's just get moving here. Let's try to just eliminate that from even. I didn't even try to think about it.
Right.
Just wanted to, how can I get a little bit better today, each day? And I wasn't sure, to be honest with you, at that point, whether I was going to make it back or not. Even March.
Doubt had to creep in.
Well, you just don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, hey, am I going to be able to get my weight back? And that was the number one thing. If I can't get up to, over 225, and then I'm not going to have success here, and I'm not going to be able to play. So, really when I just didn't know how I was going to react to this last surgery, and if I was going to be able to take a nutrition and put the weight on. And so, when I got later into the summer, probably about a month after the surgery, I'm feeling good again, and I pretty much. Found a nutritionist, I got on a good diet plan, and kind of did some body hacks, and I was doing about 2 pounds a week for the last 9 weeks, and I got up to 2.
You look as strong as I've seen you. I mean, listen, I wasn't around you in college in Minnesota, but I remember seeing you a lot in the locker room. You feel strong and good.
I'm as strong as I've been. And you get in the NFL, you're not maxing out on weights anymore. You kind of just get to that level where your peak strength, and I'm there, and so it's been. Testament to my trainers and on the North Shore, Jason and Mello, who I work with. This basically from scratch.
Give them a shout out. I like it. Yeah, they deserve it, man.
They're D1 on the North Shore, and then I had a nutritionist I work with. She's now the head nutritionist at Duke, Beth Miller. She was at UCLA with a buddy of mine. She helped a baseball player at UCLA, had the same surgeries, and put the weight back on. And so that was the biggest thing, finding the nutritionist to get.
I'm just going to make an observation because I had you on the show. You were. I don't know if it's because of this, you feel like this is out, but you seem so much more confident and open than I remember. Maybe because I know you a little better and I've been around you more, but do you feel that yourself?
Look, you go through something like I've been through in the past year, and it does give you a sense of confidence of, look, nothing's right. You know what? It is what it is, and I've been through the worst of it. I was in the mud, and I was thick, and it got pretty dark, down January, February, and you come out of something like that, it gives you a boost of confidence, and look, for the first year, on top of that. Being the first year of marriage, being at home with my wife.
She's a saint.
She, wouldn't have been able to get through it without her and my family's support for sure. So.
Well, I know you feel testicular cancer, and once you go through that, you feel like everything else is gravy. Right. So I appreciate you. This has been great, you coming out. We're going to sign the ball because when you signed it last year, it's been mysteriously displaced. I don't know where it is. But we have a nice gift certificate for you. I know you're a Midtown boy now.
Absolutely.
And that's right there uptown. So check it out, Shays de la Shays.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you. Also, as you sign the ball, I want you to tell us about you played in practice with Adrian Peterson, one of the greatest running backs of all time, and now he's a New Orleans Saint. And he's kind of like, he was the big wig like Breeze is here, obviously up there in Minnesota.
He is, yeah. It's crazy having two elite players like that in the locker room. In Minnesota, it's funny. We all defensive. The defense would always play a joke. The first time we'd get in full pads and he'd get the ball, the whole defense would just lay down on the ground. So,
don't hit me.
Because when I was a rookie, I came in. And the first day, it was, they told me, hey, you touched 2.8. You might as well pack your bags. You got a bus ticket. So, it's funny here. It's actually weird to see, in practice, guys get, button them up. And because in Minnesota, we didn't touch 2.8.
Yeah, they didn't touch 2.8. But it's interesting. Kenny Vaccaro might have. He was knocking out Jimmy Graham.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
All right, man. I appreciate you, bud. Once again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Michael Mauti, one of the best. His dad was one of my all-time favorites. Of course, the great Rich Mauti. Saints Hall of Famer, correct? Absolutely. One of the best special teams players, wide receiver, et cetera. So it's been great. Hey, we already had Bobby Hebert. Now next, we're going to have his son. We're going to talk some Saints, but we're going to get into LSU and maybe a little Pelicans, time permitting. Coming up next, right here on Primetime Sports. Welcome back to Primetime Sports. Always love to hear a little music, New Orleans style. I want to thank him right there. Hey, by the way, we want to thank Michael Mauti as well. He took time out on his only day off from Saints practice to come here. And, of course, the king, the founding father, I should say, of the Who Dat Nation. I like to say king as well. You know that. And, by the way, my next guest, well, he's also a founding father. His son was the father, and he was the son. His name is T-Bob Hebert. Well, actually, T-Bob couldn't make it. It's Ryan Ramczyk, everybody.
Hey,
the new
what's going on,
offensive
Scott?
tackle for the New Orleans Saints. You look exactly like him.
Pleasure to be here. I'm still just adjusting to the next level.
To the heat.
That Saints playbook, it's a lot different than Wisconsin.
Right.
But I feel confident that with Drew's help and Coach Payton's help, that I'll be ready come that first game in Minnesota.
Oh, you got the cliches down, Ryan. Even though he looks like him, this is T-Bob Hebert, obviously a former starter with the LSU Tigers offensive line. Started many games for them. You started center, guard, right?
Yeah. I started 1 year at center, 1 year at left guard, and 1 year at right guard. So I got a nice wealth of experience there.
But like your father, you got in the media business. I remember you started with my man Jordy Collada back at ESPN Radio Baton Rouge, and you came down to New Orleans, and you were on WWL for a while with Kristen Garrick, and now you're back in Baton Rouge. Are you liking being back in the capital city?
Yes. Look, I'm liking being back on the mornings, quite honestly. I don't think that you can beat a morning radio show schedule. Well, yeah, you got to wake up really early, but you also finish pretty early, right? It's the best. As long as you can wake up at like 3:30, 4 a.m.
Not me.
You're good to go. And I am now used to that, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's the best.
You liked it. Christian said he didn't.
No, Christian's a night owl.
Yeah.
That's K-Dog, though. He's a party animal,
K-Dog.
man. It's like my dad, also not exactly a morning person.
Yeah, your dad didn't actually want to even come in for this show because it was his day off.
And
I said, wait, our show's at 7 o'clock. All right, in the evening.
Oh,
all right.
man.
Anyway, let's talk. You had a rant recently. You are now a very vocal member of the media up in Baton Rouge, and I love it because that's what we need. We need more people to say it like it is. And one of the things when head coach Ed Orgeron got the job, he's such an open book, right? And he really is that all of a sudden when you hear this weekend that practices are closed, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, hold on. Whoa, Nelly, we thought this was going to be different than the Les Miles regime. Go with your feelings and how you feel about this situation.
Well, it's I just think that it's a PR misstep, right? When you're talking about excluding the media from practice, I don't see what's gained from it. And they're going to tell you that it's about the installation, it's about trying to hide what they're adding, but we would have never gotten to see that portion of practice to begin with. What we normally saw were warm-ups, maybe individuals. So I don't understand stopping the media from attending practice because all it does is engender bad feelings amongst those people that you're going to have to work with every day. And in my opinion, there is no positive to be gained.
But let me stop you. The Saints let you watch the entire practice.
Yeah.
And so why wouldn't eventually you not just be able to watch stretching? Why wouldn't you be able to watch that? Is that never going to happen with LSU regardless?
Well, that's one of the main reasons why I don't see it heading this direction. Like, on the whole, this is not that big of a deal, right? It's just 3 weeks. It's not super impactful in terms of what we're missing, but it's the principle of the matter that I disagree with. I don't think that we should be moving towards a place of less information. I always want more because obviously if you cover the team, you want to have as well-rounded of an opinion as possible. You only get that with more information. What's been surprising to me, and I don't know if it's the temperature of the times, but the reaction from fans has been very much in LSU's favor, very much painting the media as like the whiny crybaby bad guys in this situation, which I don't necessarily understand because really why you want that well-rounded opinion, why you want as clear a picture as possible and as much information as possible is so that you can have accurate discussions with the fans about this sort of team. And look, you can never trust somebody to objectively cover themselves. That's just a basic truth. So when LSU wants to be the sole source of information about LSU, how far can we really trust that information that we're getting?
Okay, I'm in 100% agreement with what you just said, but I have to play the other side. So do you mind if I play a little devil's advocate?
Go on, absolutely.
All right, here's the thing. Last year, they got beaten by a Wisconsin team, by all accounts a very good team, but a team that LSU should beat. Maybe not own, but beat. And they didn't. And I'm just thinking maybe there's a little paranoia, obviously, right now, because Ed Orgeron was a popular pick by some, But others say, this is not the guy. You're basically getting this guy because Herman didn't come or Jimbo Fisher didn't come. My point is this offense is new. And there's nothing that game 2, when they play UTC or down the road, Auburn and the rest of these teams, they're going to see game tape. They know. But for their purposes, and they want to get this one big win. It's his first, obviously, coach as not with the interim tag. Can you see why maybe if they don't do this the entire season, if they do this the entire season, I'm going to raise bloody hell.
Which,
too.
even if that was the original plan, they're not going to. That's not happening. It's going to be 3 weeks.
It's just this 3 weeks, but you don't see this a little bit why that maybe, hey, we want to get this win. We don't want to who knows who might be coming down here.
If that was the information they were protecting, I understand that. The problem is we would never get to see installation or the team portion of practice anyway. The information they are trying to hold back, in my opinion, are stuff like attendance, injuries, some of the stuff that coaches would rather not discuss. My problem is this speaks to, I think, a lack of understanding of our modern media environment.
Right.
Trying to hold back that info, that's like trying to hold water in your hands. It's inevitable. And so when you wait, speculation thrives in ambiguity, right? So when you wait, then rumors start to swirl, little whispers start, where if you have bad news to break, get ahead of it. Be the one that breaks it, control the message, and like a Band-Aid, rip it off instead of slowly peeling it off. So I don't believe there to be a competitive advantage to be gained by this move, which is one of the reasons why I don't think it's a smart one.
Well, you learned this lesson early in your media career. I didn't learn that lesson probably till about a decade. I've been doing this for 25 years now, and I'm proud of you, dude. You're doing a great job, and you've one of the best. Period. I mean,
you're my boy, dude.
I love listening to you.
Excuse me.
You're fun. You're engaging. You have great analogies. No, and I think that's a huge part of it. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, no, 100%.
It's easy, and you're educated.
I love analogies.
And you're educated too.
General studies.
Came from the Atlanta system, though, a little different than down here. But I'm joking about that part. But no, you know what you're talking about. But now let's get to LSU because this is what people want to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
What battles right now intrigue you the most? Because there's a lot of guys that left to go pro. There's a lot of holes to fill. LSU always brings in great talent. But what battles worry you and intrigue you the most?
You can really, it's the pick of the litter at this point. Like you pointed out, this is a team defined by question marks. You have a brand new head coach. You've got a new offensive coordinator. You're light at a wide receiver position where you just had the number one safety in the nation switch sides to try to give some depth to that position. Your offensive line now, with Maya Tuhuma's absence, you're down to 11 scholarship offensive linemen.
And as a former offensive lineman, that's light.
Normally you need about like 15 to 18, and that's to get 7 or 8 guys that can play. So you're dealing with 11, and your frontline starters remain good, but after that, there is no depth. So that's a very brittle group right now. Your quarterback play, what's going to be like, you don't know. Defensively, if we include the nickelback as a starter, say you have 12, you have 7 starters that you're having to replace. 5 guys got drafted, 2 first-round picks in the secondary. 5 of the front 7 are gone. So there's a ton of turnover there. Now, what's interesting
You're
to
scaring
me...
me. Is this 6 and 6?
Well, so what's interesting to me, though, is that when I've talked to other people, like a Booger McFarland or Spears, these LSU defensive experts, they really do buy into the thought process that LSU always replaces.
And I agree.
That no matter what, that they
actually
will. So they're okay on that side of the ball. So I'm like, okay, and look, the number one safety in this last recruiting class in the country did just move to offense because of how crowded that backfield is. So perhaps they are on to something. But, this is a team defined by question marks. And from where I look at it, some of the most impactful battles, I would say linebacker is one to highlight. You got some young talent there with Devin White and Donnie Alexander. Coach Joe pointing them out
speaking
yesterday.
of him, that's where I want to start first because, he's my cousin. And little do I know, the D for D. Scott Alexander is for Donnie. So that is my man, my name. How's Donnie Alexander? Is he going to be in the Duke Riley, Debo Jones, Quan Alexander one-year starters that ended up being great pros, or at least so far 2 of them have been? Can he be that effective for them?
Yeah, look, they certainly hope so. So they used to call him Little Donnie. I guess they're calling him Big Donnie now. He's up to 230. Coach O seemed pleased with him yesterday. And as far as being the brain of this defense, you're going to have to hope that he's ready to play because these other linebackers are so inexperienced. that he's LSU's best bet at everybody being on the same page in Dave Aranda's scheme, which can be complicated.
We got into the media, so we got only a couple minutes left. We got hey, real quick, Christian Lockature, he's coming back. We've got, obviously, Arden Key. Does that kind of solidify? That's not the entire line, but do you feel that those two guys could be the leaders of the defense?
Yes, and there's hope. And another name to watch out for, Kaylavon Chason, the new freshman defensive end. Coach O will, every time he opens his mouth about defense, he mentions Chason by name. So there is still hope for this defense. And look, I just think it's important to recognize some things that maybe others aren't talking about as much, which is that this is a team with a massive amount of turnover and a lot of question marks, even when it comes to a group that's so consistently solid like LSU defense.
I've got to give you this $50 gift certificate.
Hey, right on, man.
By the way, I can't believe we didn't mention the Heisman candidate as you signed this ball.
The Sauce Boss, Mr. Nice Guy.
The Sauce Boss. There you go. Nice Guys? Is that what you said?
Mr. Nice Guys.
We'll talk about Darius Geis. I mean, real quick as I go, because I got 30 seconds.
Okay, look, he's an animal.
All right.
Matt Canada's specialty is manufacturing mismatches. Darius Geis combined with Matt Canada, yes, it's like peanut butter jelly. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, because James Conner, before he got hurt, put up huge numbers at Pitt, and then every running back they've had has big numbers. It should be a big one. I have many people to thank. This has been another great show. Who Dat Nation. I hope you loved having Michael Mauti and Bobby Hebert, and, of course, LSU with T-Bob Hebert. I'm sorry I didn't get to more Pelicans talk. We'll get that. I'm hearing Alvin Gentry might be coming up soon, so we got a lot of great things coming for you right here. Thanks, Will Hill. Thank you, Kenny. Stay Smooth, the Redhead Tsunami, and everybody at WLE and CST. We'll talk to you next week right here on Primetime Sports.
Although our official name is Lucy's Retired Surfers Bar and Restaurant, there ain't nothing tired about retired. Meet Me at Lucy's has been our slogan and battle cry for nearly 3 decades in the Crescent City. Located in the heart of the Warehouse District, whether it's for happy hour after work, before and after Saints and Pelicans games, or just for a bite to eat at all hours, Lucy's is where the locals meet up, hang out, and unwind. And while you're there, try one of our signature surfing cocktails, like the Shark Attack or Blue Whale. And for the truly courageous, our famous Scorpion Tequila Shot. Remember, Meet Me at Lucy's is our slogan, and don't forget to bring your favorite pooch, because our lifeguard chair is always open.